And it is not good as a nation. The how or do. It is very difficult. The president has given directives, but it is very difficult that it's going to work because property owned by individuals, it doesn't owned by the government. So when you are bringing a law, you have to make consultation first with the property owners. Because right now, I own my own house, I built my own house, and I've given it to agents, or even at times some of them do contact agents. You see, so if you are bringing directives, and the person to the directives that we are bringing doesn't suit the owners, they will choose not to rent it out, and it will become a very difficult for those people who are looking for accommodation now. Because right now, in terms of prime areas like Kokobemre, Kanda, Teshi, Osu, around Achimota area there, Odoko, Kaneshi, North Kaneshi, just to mention a few, it is very, very difficult to come by to even have a room. At times the room is there, the landlady or the landlord will choose not to rent unless you beg. So if the government is bringing these directives, it's going to worry those who are looking for accommodation and then the property owners. Because right now, building materials are very, very, very expensive. If you're going to even do a renovation on a single room,
right,
it will cost you a lot. So I think the government has to come or has to have a consultation with the property owners or the landlords so that they will look at it and then, I mean, they can settle on, I mean, the number of months or years. Because if you say you are bringing this kind of directives for landlords to obey it, it will be very, very difficult. I won't lie to you.
All well and good, Mr. Isi, but are you aware that this statement by the president, it is actually not a new directive, but it is existing law which the president just mentioned again? This is not a new directive. It's been there for God.
I know, but the laws are there. The laws are there, and it's up to the government to enforce the law. But if you are enforcing the law, is it going to work?
I'm just hearing
you say... Is it going to bring a problem?
I'm just hearing you say enforcement will be a problem, and you were suggesting that this was a new directive. But you know this has been there since, but yet the landlords have not respected it.
No, not about respecting the law, but it is about the building, the cost of the building materials. Somebody will say, properties being built about 20, 40, 50 years ago, it doesn't need a lot of money. But as you know, when somebody rents your house or your room, at least you have to do 1 or 2 renovations. You cannot leave it like that.
And the 1 or 2 renovation is what amounts to, because when you rent, and I've had the privilege of having to rent not so long ago, you undertake, as a tenant, you undertake the painting. It's not the landlord who does that for you. So when you say renovation and having to do some other things, a lot of people are at a loss because you built the property a while back. You've rented it out for quite some time, and yet you guys are always using, or as landlords, you're always using the reason of an increase in iron rods, for instance, in the price of cement, for instance, to continuously hike up the rent. If you say that, after a year or 2, let us come to an agreement to increase the percentage, that can be negotiated with your tenant. But you tell them that, iron rod prices have shot up, cement prices have gone up, and so the building or the rent cost too must go up. A lot of people are, myself inclusive, I've never seemed to understand that.
Let's be clear this issue. Not all the landlords that take a lot of years. No. at times some of them, after the year, after they are taking the advance, some of them normally come into negotiation with you that, oh, maybe I will take 3 months. Some of them, even after the years, they take a monthly. You see, so if we are talking about, it is not a uniform, that every landlord does what, no. At times, some of them, they take mentally, some of them take about 3 months, some of them also take about 6 months. Are you getting me? So, the problem is that let the government focus on the building materials, especially cement, the roofing sheets.
But Mr. Easy, we've seen iron rod prices come down. We've seen cement prices come down. I haven't checked for roofing sheets. I have to be completely honest. I don't recall the last time I checked for roofing sheets, but I've seen.
Have you checked about how much truck of how do you call it, sand costs? Have you checked about how much does this quarry stones? Have you checked how much does it cost?
So I'm having a conversation about. Let's reach an agreement. Let's talk first about those buildings that exist already. When you are going to rent, they are renting it for the price as though they've built a completely new structure. That is one aspect of the conversation which a lot of people are having problems with. If we're talking about a new building which has been built from scratch, then there can be a reason to understand. For instance, Osu, where a number of the housing units have been in existence for quite some time. You go there and people are looking for chamber and hall, and they are being told 2,500 cedis and the likes. That raises question. You'll agree with what I'm saying?
Yes, I thought about it's not good. It's not good at all, because how come chamber or self-contained will cost 2,000, 2,500?
But that's what you are charging people.
It doesn't make sense. That one, it doesn't make sense at all. You see, but if you look at the inputs, some of them, their materials and all those things, and then at times some of them take loans from the bank to do this kind of housing estate. Some of them take loans from the bank. So, if you rent a place and you are taking a loan from a bank to do this kind of estate, unit estate, and you are paying interest. So if you two didn't raise your price, I mean, it will also going to cost you. Are you getting me? So it is something that the government, I always say that the government should look at the building materials. That was the main cause of hyping the property. If the materials, the building materials are down, don't think we will get to where we are now. Because, my brother, it's getting alarming. It's getting alarming because how can somebody pay single room? So no ordinary single room. They share compound house, they share bath house, they share toilet, and the person, some of them are ranging from 3, 4 to 500 Ghana a month. Ordinary single room. And single room self-contained is around 1,000, 1,002, 1,003. And chamber or self-contained, 2 bedrooms is around 2,500, 3,000. You see, it is very, very, it is alarming. The rate that this building is, the rent is going now, if government didn't do something about it, I bet you for next 2-3 years, nobody can rent in Accra.
And all the houses will be there for you, the landlords.
And you see, people doesn't want to go outside the city. Like Amasamai, Pokuase, because of the traffic. And at times, within a short time, and then you see that they have increased stress. You see, all those things, some of them, somebody can build around Amasamai or maybe Pokuase, but he has to wake up around 4 o'clock to be in town in time. Are you getting me? So the person will choose even to rent a small room in Accra, and then he'll be going back to his own house on the weekends. You see, so I'm pleading with the government, because the directives or the law that they are going to enforce it, as I'm saying, is going to be a big problem. The room will be there.
The rule has always been there, but it's not been enforced because of the many things that you've been talking about. I've heard you mention that, look, we need to have government coming big in terms of building materials and its cost, right? And that is well and good. But for you as landlords as well, there's an aspect of this conversation with borders on you. I've heard you mention that why is a single room where the price, they are sharing the compound, they are sharing toilet and bath and everything, and they are charging 500 cedis and what have you. Meaning you as a landlord, you realize that some of your colleagues are absolutely taking advantage of the Ghanaian people. When you meet, what sort of conversations?
There's a pressure in the city. You see, so as for that one there, you cannot run away from it because of the pressure. Yes, that one there is a key.
So because of the pressure, there's also the urge to take advantage of it and charge more.
Yeah, because of the pressure. Because you see, one room, single room, about 4 or 5 people will be changing one single room. 4 or 5 people. So that gives the landlord advantage to decide what he wants or what she wants. Are you getting me? But if there is like something like maybe common houses, estate houses, are you getting me? And the roads and everything is good. How can somebody be rushing to go and rent a single room, sharing toilet, bathhouse? You wake up around 4 o'clock and clean the house, the compound too, and then you'll be paying so much. So if the government is serious, then he also should focus on the estate houses that he wanted to build, and then roads, so that if somebody wake up around 6 o'clock and he lives around Amasamai, Pokuase, Samsam, or Media, the person can even, when he wake up around 6 o'clock, he can be in Accra in time. But that one, it won't be problem. Look, last week, Tuesday, if you live around Amasamai, my brother, you will never ever, you will regret by living around that place. There was a serious traffic from Ofanko up to Pokuase, and then from Achimota. Is that from Apenkwa to Ofanko? You see, so my brother. Secondly, it's about the rules. If somebody will wake up and then he can have a free way to workplace, I don't think there will be rush on this kind of old houses within the city, and at the same time very, very expensive. That one there is a serious issue.
So
accommodation in Accra here, my brother, I'm afraid.
Even for you as a landlord and an agent, you are afraid that the accommodation is not making sense.
It's not easy. Because if you are a young guy and you want to marry, and you want a semi self-contained, and imagine the landlord is taking about 1,500. That's the cheapest one. 1,500. That's the cheapest semi self-contained that you can get it. And they are taking 2 years, which is almost about 35 or 36,000. That's the only rent. How much are you going to furnish your room? And how much are you going to use to marry? Brother.
So
the government, the directives, the place that the way that the government is going to trigger the accommodation system in Ghana now. If the government will listen, and then he has to sponsor or he has to make education before enforcing the law. That one there is going to happen. But right now, if he's going to enforce the law, my brother, that one there, it won't be easy. It won't be easy at all.
That's
the only advice I can give to the government. It's exercise patience.
Right.
And then, consult the landlord and the landowners before coming out. Other than that, the room will be there, and the landlord or the landlady will choose not to rent. And people are in dire need of accommodation.
Because I was even about to ask a question in relation to that. You, the landlord, say, oh, the government should not implement this latest, it's not even a latest directive, right? It's an existing legislation which should come into force, should be enforced and all of that. You're saying that, oh, we don't need government to do that, because if government does that, it will even worsen the problem and what have you. For young people, because I met somebody, right, is looking for a 2-bedroom house, has 20,000 cedis, and is unable to find accommodation.
That one should be outside Accra. That's somewhere around Pokra, Amasama area there. Not within the city.
That's the solution. So for instance, even as I'm speaking to you right now, I was hoping you say, oh, we can work around something and find the person a place around so we can ease their problem, because this is a married person with kids. And you're saying, oh, that one there, he has to go outside of town. Eh? Are you still with me, sir?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
Yeah.
You are saying he cannot get accommodation in the capital. He has to move outside of the capital.
Yeah, that one there, definitely. If you want 2 bedrooms, it is nothing less than 2,500.
In which location?
You have to invest a lot of money before upgrading it. Yes. But if you want a posh one,
when you say a posh one, what do you mean? When you say so?
I'm talking about you look at the personality before you take him into a house or a building. Are you getting me?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Because before taking somebody to go and inspect a property, you have to look
of the citizenry. I hear you on, government has to do something. We cannot enforce the law and all of that.
Yeah. Oh, as for government.
No, I'm not talking about government now. I'm not talking about government. I'm talking about landlords.
Oh, you're talking
landlords, yes.
Oh, as a landlord, he has nothing. But if he attends
landlord has nothing?
Most of her. We will consider a lot of people. But how long can you consider people whereby the cost of building materials and other things are still going high? Are you getting? Initially, you can help the person, but along the line, you can no longer help the person again. Because, look, for instance, if I'm giving my room to you like 200 or 300, and in fact, the room has been there for 20 years, and there's a leakage, and I go to the market, and I cannot afford roofing sheets. When I come, I have to increase it for you. And maybe your salary too doesn't reach anywhere. So that will become a problem between the landlord and the tenant.
Right.
The best thing for me, because when it happens this way, you see, there's a lot of people who will be putting pressure on you. Oh, telling me I can afford this one, I can pay this, I can do that too. So normally your mind will change.
Right. There is a conversation about a review of the laws governing rent in this country, right? As landlords, what will your input be to these conversations that have already started? I'm asking this because hearing you right now, you mentioned that, the property has been there for 20 odd years and suddenly it's developed a leakage or two. And so you step out, you buy roofing sheets, and you come and take care of the house and you remodel it and all of that. There's a thinking that initial cost can be spread over a long period of time instead of you wanting to take it up front again. So That's why I asked the question. What is your contribution as well?
Do you know that when you build and you want to rent, it will take you 10 years before you can recover your money that you spend. If you build and you want, it will take you 10 years before you can recover your money that you spend. You know, building, when you put money inside the room, it doesn't come right now. It will take 2 years.
Yes.
Imagine you are using a bank loan to build, and you didn't squeeze your tenant. How can you pay?
So you are admitting you are squeezing the tenant, because if you don't squeeze the tenant, you are unable to offset some of the debt incurred in building. So you are squeezing the tenant. But let me ask this question as well. As the association that was speaking to, how many members do you have as this association?
It depends upon the area that the association are. Because you can have Amasamai, and then maybe you have about maybe. So
they are splinter. They are different groupings in terms of association.
We don't have national association.
Right.
There is something that the government has also to look at it, and then those people into the estate, the real estate business, like estate agents and all those. The government has to come
put all of you under an umbrella
and them,
right,
and then educate them, because at times some of them are also part of the problem.
Absolutely.
Because if the landlord is taking about 6 months, how much will be my commission? But if the landlord is taking 2 years or 3 years, and then my commission will go up.
Right.
And at times, some of them will also talk to the landlord, and then say, "Oh, landlord, this guy is a good guy. He can afford this, so he can make the top up." And then some of the good landlords, they will give you.
You also get his commission.
But if the business, the connection didn't work, you have also put something into the landlord mind that, oh, maybe this my room serve the 200 that I'm taking, not doing, I can get about 250. So these are some of the problem that the estate agent also creates for those people who are looking for
property
rooms.
Right.
Are you getting me?
Right. I get you.
So government has also to register them, educate them very, very well that, look, what you are doing to your brother, you are doing it to yourself. Are you getting me? Because your brother is suffering, and we are taking money. Tomorrow, you also tend to be somebody also looking for something, and another person also will get you. So it's something that the government has to also look at the estate agent, not by forcing the law on them, or you have to register them, educate them, because you see, if you are taking 6 months, it's okay.
Right. The point is well made. I asked about the association because I'm asking, in the different associations in different places, what is the level of control the leadership of the association have on the members, such that in, say, the area where you operate, if you are the president, you can tell the landlords there that, look, we are not charging more than 6 months of rent in this association in this area. Do you have that power to tell the rest of your members?
No. That one there, you don't have power.
So the association, because when you come together,
the people that we are working with, when they got to know that you doesn't want that so much like this, they will undermine you. You undermine you.
So the association, when you come together, you are fighting for what? Money. So I'm asking, when you come together as the association, you are just pushing your interests as to how you can increase and ensure that everybody is charging uniform rent in terms of 6 months, 2 months.
It depends on the areas. Are you getting me? Because we have some areas, prime areas, where we leave that place to your workplace. Your transport is very, very low. For instance, if you are around Kokobembe, you can walk to Circle, you can walk to Accra. Are you getting me? But if you live somewhere around me, you cannot walk to Accra. Are you getting me? So, for the second also issue is about the association and the control. As for the control, you see, like lawyers, they have a uniform money that they charge. That's 10%. Their legal fee. Are you getting me? Yes. So if you also have association registered, and then the government also comes in, and then helping the agent association, that one, the government and the association and the head can also decide. Are you getting me? The uniform commission that association or the member to take. And if you didn't apply, I mean, they can sanction you, because now it's free for all. It's free for all. I mean, there are some agents who are into the business now. They didn't learn. They didn't pass through. It is only that, they heard that, somebody has a room here, and then you started scouting for people who own a room, and at the end of the day, one is able to rent 1 or 2 places, and then you become agent. Are you getting me?
Right.
But we have some agents who are being in the business, and they learn from their predecessors. Are you getting me? Yes. So, I mean, if you have learned the work, that one, you know how much you charge. I mean, it's about 5%. But people also close their eyes and they take 10% of their commission. Are you getting me? So it's something that the government has to invite some of the big agents and then sit down with them. And then from there, the government can also learn or can also take a view from the agent and also can apply it and then work so that, I mean, a room or accommodation issue in Ghana, especially Accra and then Takoradi. And Takoradi.
Right.
Right. That's a serious area.
Mr. Isi, I appreciate you speaking to us this morning, and I'm sure we'll have a conversation again soon, because there are a lot of talks about legislation to replace the existing acts, because it has simply not been respected by anybody, landlords, tenants, and is bringing serious pressure. And you yourself have been telling us all about it this morning as well. That's Mr. Isi. He is the chair, should I say chair? Is the president of the is with the Landlord Real Estate Agents Association. That's because they are not cut across, right? It's not a national body. So
let's just say he's a landlord himself.
Yes, he's a landlord himself and
a real estate agent.
I'm a landlord as well as agent.
Right. So thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
You're welcome.
Right, that's Charles Kwesi, a landlord and a real estate agent. So he mentions a lack of uniformity in terms of landlord owners, property owners association, which can directly engage, because I know there's been suggestions and conversations about a possible amendment or review of existing legislation with regards to rent. They are an important player within the space. As to who is going to be consulted on this matter and the many points he's raised, when we eventually decide to go on that tangent, it's not quite clear who will go in and speak for them. And we might have another instance where the legislators will sit in the House of Parliament and pass a new legislation again, where the persons on the ground have no contribution or no knowledge whatsoever about, and will continue to do rinse and repeat.
You see, if we go by... Okay, let me start from the top. Let me start by doing or attempting a holistic review of the conversation we just had with him, his position on this matter. Number one, he, in a very nice way, dodged all the responsibility that should be on him as a landlord and his colleagues as landlords. And he attempted lamenting with us, or no, lamenting for us. We already know what our problems are. When I say we are now, I'm speaking as a tenant. We already know what our problems are. And for those of us who have taken the pain to look at the law, what it says, we know where the law or the intent of the framers of the law, what problems they attempted solving. And if the law had been implemented effectively, by now we wouldn't be having this conversation. But it is because, number one, there is no control on property ownership in this country. Everybody and anybody can own property, which is a good thing. Number two, there are no standards in what a rentable property should be. There are no standards. Mawuena, as we speak right now, you can get some marshy area.
You are saying marshy.
Something.
When you are looking for the property, it's like the agents deliberately do. So there's something called viewing fee.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, and I'm coming there.
Okay.
I'm coming there. So I'm looking at the property itself. So there are no standards. You go to East Legon. There's an uncompleted building there, but it costs more than a fully furnished place at Nema or Mamobi or Pig Farm. So there are no standards in what should be rentable and what should a property look like before you, Mawuena, say that this is my 2-bedroom
and
or this
I like
my chamber and hall, I want to rent it. There are no standards. So anybody puts up anything, puts a price on it, and claim that prices of building materials are high, the dollar is rising, and so he made that point, right? Number three, there is no certification as to who an agent should be. And when I say certification, I don't mean go to school, get a certificate
a standard,
to become.
A standard for what an
there is
agent,
no standard of what an agent, who an agent is, what an agent should be. Who is the agent even agenting for?
Let me just mention this. The space is so polarized that we have foreign nationals actually who are agents in this capital. And
I didn't know that one.
And they find property for you. Yes. I've engaged foreign nationals.
Don't tell me it is my brothers.
I didn't mention it. But I'm just telling you, the space is so open that there are foreign nationals who are agents.
So when you say agent, is it in the understanding of our everyday understanding of who an agent is? Or these ones who have labeled themselves as real estate, there's a term for it. So, not a developer.
There's a one who is taking you to the property to go and show you. If you like it, you pay the money and then you give him his commission.
Nice one.
Give him their commission because male, females are all agents.
So, that is the third problem that we are looking at. So, everybody and anybody can rise up, say that I am an agent, I'm showing you the place. You have to pay me viewing fee. I take you to 10 different places that I know you will not like. And on each trip, you are paying me, say, 100 cedis. That is how much I'm making from that viewing alone. Then eventually, you take me to a place that you know I will like. I settle for this place. I have to pay you a percentage of the rent. So you have become my agent.
10%, sometimes 15%.
Not the landlord's agent. So again, there's no standards as to what an agent should be, should do, who the agent is representing. If I am looking for accommodation, then I call you, Mawuena. I want to move from where I am. Get me a place around this place, that place, that place. Then you become my agent. Sometimes too, you see facilities, you see property, right, advertised for rent. Then you see a number there. You call the number. It doesn't go to the landlord. It goes to an agent. I didn't come looking for you. But in this case,
I was looking for
the property, the landlord, the owner of the property. But your number is there. I have no idea that you are an agent. By the time I realize I am paying you as an agent, that cannot.
So you see,
no, follow the argument I'm making.
So Sixtus is making the point that when you are looking for the property, you don't go looking for an agent. You are looking for property.
So you can see a place, a property. They've written a lot of the times. You see banners. It's the property for rent, maybe 3-bedroom for rent or 4-bedroom for rent. I see a lot of that in my area. Then they'll write a number. If you call that number, 99% chance is it is going to an agent, not the owner of the property. So, at this point, did I come looking for an agent? So the agent then should become an agent to the landlord, meaning the landlord should be the one paying this agent. But that cost eventually comes to the person seeking to rent. Again, if you look at, he spoke about the increasing rent. And that's the fourth problem. He spoke about cost of building materials as a basis for the increment in rent. If we had asked him directly to tell us 5 reasons or factors that are considered in the increment of rent, I bet he wouldn't be able to give us those 5.
So he just continued going around building materials. That's all he could tell us.
So there's a 2-bedroom in, let's say where? Aimensa.
Oh, 2-bedroom. That will be considerably cheaper as compared to one.
Yes. So a 2-bedroom in Aimensa, let's say, is going for 500 cedis a month. The same 2-bedroom, in fact, not the same. You get another 2-bedroom. The one in Aimensa is far better in terms of space, livability, the surrounding, and everything. But it is located at, say, Okponglo.
Oh, Okponglo, you've got, go to Osu.
Thank you for this example. The Osu people will come for us, but we must talk about them today.
The property is not new. Nothing.
It's not new.
The rooms are so small.
The rooms are tiny.
And
it's suffocating.
Give it to you for 3,500.
3,000. And you are here telling me about building materials. The man in Aimensa, did he buy his materials from a different market? Isn't it the same market you both went to buy or procure the materials? In fact, in the case of the man in Aimensa, he probably procured his materials a year or 2 ago. Your structure has been there for 20 years.
You see, and the point you make is very valid. But again, this is just one landlord,
yes,
or agent seeking to explain his viewpoint.
Yes.
And so back to the standards that you're talking about. There is none. And so there is literally the only explanation it gives is that, look, people are trying to live in the heart of the city, and so it results in the fact that when they come, 5 people are looking for the same property because they don't want to be in the traffic from Adenta coming to Accra, having to wake up at 4 a.m.
Which now sends us into the realms of exploitation.
Which is what he had actually admitted.
He admitted at the end of the interview. It is now exploitation, not necessarily because the facility in Osu is better than the facility at Ayimensa, but because you have 10 people
looking for that same
who
property,
want to live in Osu so that they can simply walk to work and cut off all the traffic. A certain convenience. They end up sacrificing even for the standard of the building that they have to live in. They end up sacrificing for that.
Let me take us onto the phone lines because we've been joined as well by Emmanuel Hove. Kosu is a senior rent officer and head of public relations at the Ghana Rent Control Department. Mr. Kosu, good morning to you. I appreciate you joining us as well for this conversation. Since you say you want the first question.
First question.
Good morning.
The offices that you occupy, are they your own buildings?
Oh.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Kosu, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is the question directed to me?
Yes.
Sixtus said he wanted the right of a first question.
Okay. Yes, so the properties we are occupying as our offices are government properties. So being part of the government, we can say they are our properties.
Across the country?
Across the country.
You are not renting any facility for office space?
I cannot say 100%. About 98% of all our offices, which we are covering about 68 offices, about 98% of our offices are government properties. Unless some isolated places where there are no government structures, we rent.
I'm asking the question because there's always been the perception, let me label it a perception, that even you as rent control, the spaces that you occupy as office spaces, you have rented them, they are not in good taste, you are paying more than the 6-month allowable rent, advance rent. So how are you able to enforce the law? Is that the case?
Yeah, so this is a perception, and then I'll advise that we leave it at that. I just mentioned that they are government properties. If government properties are not in good shape, then it's government. We have to make sure but not a rented property that is not in good shape. The law requires that if the property is not in tenantable state, then the landlord must make sure he renovates or modify it. But that will be another discussion. But I'm saying that 2% is very negligible, very, very negligible. But almost all our offices are government properties. We draw most of the time in government, municipal assemblies, RCC buildings, and all those things. Currently, our head office is located within the AESL, which is a government property, close to we share the same building, with the Ghana Highway Authority. So it's a government property.
Absolutely.
So this cut across the entire nation. Just that 2%, which I can say is very negligible. So we are enforcing the law. One week, I don't know whether that question will come, but you provide us with those evidence, and then we move on. Because when you go to the court, the rule of the game at the court is evidence.
Right.
Oh. People should provide you with evidence that you are paying rent for your office spaces?
No, I'm speaking in general terms. People have the perception that you are not enforcing the law. There are certain aspects of those things that we have to provide evidence before the magistrate, who has the right to sanction, to fine, to imprison. So the issue about we paying more than 6 months is not there. Those are perceptions. And if anybody has evidence that we are paying more than 6 months at a rented property, you can let us know.
Okay. Over to you, Mawuena.
Right. So I gave Sixtus the right to have the first question because, but back to the point about evidence being submitted to the magistrate on the back of what the president says. You mean to say that if anybody has a document which they've signed with their landlord, where on the face of the document it's evident that he paid in excess of 6 months in rent arrears, that tenant can walk to rent control offices with the contract, and you take the matter up and have the money refunded?
Okay. So it's not just a matter of it being in the document, that means the tenancy agreement that the person has paid. The law, as we have it now, states that the landlord cannot demand, but the tenant, which we see as a gap, that the tenant can opt to pay. So you see in the document that I've paid 2 years, does not mean that it's the landlord who demanded it or I opted to pay. That is a gap in the law. So if it's in a document that the landlord has stated that this property of mine, which I'm renting, I only take 2 years, that's a clear evidence. But the fact that it's in there that tenant has paid 2 years, has paid 1 year, that does not fall within the law now. So I just as I repeat again, we've seen it as a gap. So that the review that we are doing now, we want to cap it at a certain threshold and state in there that when you pay more than the threshold or you collect more than the threshold, the two of you will commit an offense. But that will be aside. But we are still engaging stakeholders on this review.
Who are the stakeholders you're engaging in terms of a review of the Rent Act? It's very important because we've been speaking to a landlord and an agent, and we don't have a uniformed association for property owners who are renting it out, who are critical players within this entire housing space.
Okay. So there are 3 key stakeholders. There are many as we can. But those 3 key stakeholders who are very close to these rent laws are the landlords, the tenants, and then the agents. Fortunately for us, by the year 2020, a law which is Act 1047 was passed. And now the regulation of agents and brokers are now before who we call Real Estate Agency Council. Currently, what they are doing is to come out with the LI, that's the legislative instrument, to help them implement the Act 1047. So that agency issue, but there are some aspects of the agents that rent control is still holding.
Mr. Bosu, hold on for me. Hold on for me. So there is a group, not a group. There's an agency now that is supposed to regulate agents.
Exactly, in full. They have to educate them, license them.
Backed by law. What's the name of this? What's the name of this grouping? This institution?
That is the Ghana Real Estate Agency Association.
Ghana Real Estate Agency Association.
Garrett, something like that.
Their mandate includes registering agents and keeping a log of all agents in the country.
No. Let us confuse ourselves. The agency that is to regulate these agents and brokers is called the Real Estate Agency Council.
Yes, the council.
It's a council. But the law that Act 1047 that I mentioned is the Real Estate Agency Act.
Which gives the council power.
Exactly.
And the council is supposed to regulate the activities of agents.
Agents and brokers.
And brokers.
Under the housing industry.
I'll be very honest. I'm hearing this for the first time, and
okay.
Because we've had a conversation. We're asking whether or not agents, landlords are supposed to be under a nationally recognized body which regulates them.
Okay. Yeah, so I was dealing with the agents and brokers. So now there is a law which is called Act 1047, which was passed in the year 2020, and is the Real Estate Agency Act, which is fully under the control of Real Estate Agency Council. to regulate all agents and brokers. The first association I mentioned is association of people who have come together, people who do business as agents and brokers. They have come together. So this council is supposed to regulate them and any other association related to agency duties. I was coming to tenants and landlords. As we speak now, there is no recognized national association of landlords. There is a perception or there is this union of tenants, but that union is just some few people who are advocating for tenants. There is no recognized association of union nationally, even regionally or district, that we know of. So when it comes to this stakeholders engagement, we have this pocket of landlords association. What that means is that there's a suburb of a location, some few people have come together and they call themselves landlord association. We cannot leave them out because they still have some interest in the law. So we call some of these people. So those are the people I mentioned by stakeholders. Again, I said we have a broad. You know, when you have the law as we are reviewing now, it says when a tenant comes before your house, you should do due diligence. You should make a background check.
Right.
So in that case, the immigration office will be our stakeholder. When some tenants are being very stubborn, we approach the police. So the police is our stakeholder. So those institutions are part of the stakeholder engagement we are compiling. Even the Ghana Tourism Authority, because when you come to the hostels, they have some aspects to regulate some of the hostels because they see it as a tourism sector. But when it comes to how much they charge at our schools, Ghana Tourism Authority does not have that mandate to determine how much a hostel or an apartment should charge. So that's where rent control will come in. So at this point, Ghana Tourism Authority is our stakeholder. So these are some of the stakeholders I'm mentioning.
And how far advanced are these conversations with respect to the review we're talking about?
Okay, so in November we had, let me say, our last stakeholders engagement at one of the hotels. I don't want to make an advert. So we brought all those people on board. There were some factors that were agreed upon. One of it is setting up what we call an independent assessment committee, who will now determine the rent for any suburb. So what that means is that when I come to Kokomlemle or Landlord Association in there, a rep will be sent to this independent assessment committee. Tenants Association there, a rep will be sent. Any valuer, any law, any professional that is relating to this housing will be there. So that rent control or government in its way will shade back and make sure the tenants and landlords, those valuers, they make their own determination. At the end of the day, a tenant will not come that, no, this suburb, they are charging too much. You had a rep there, and then all the factors were put in. So let me just go. Somebody was just mentioning that the building materials are the only determining factors for determining rent, recoverable rent. The key on that value, which we call the ingredient, is the value of the land. So take Isfelgon and take Adabraka. At that point, you can see that the land, a parcel of land at these two suburbs varies, way different. So the key on the ingredient or the factors is the value of the land. Secondly, the property rate that the person pays. Also, the repairs or maintenance schedule. You know that every 5 years I have to, all those things must be factored. Okay, so there is not only the value, and of course, the building materials must come in because the material used in building the property also vary. If I've tiled my room, single room, and another suburb, the person has not tiled, even the same suburb, there's two single rooms, one is very tiled, one is painted. You cannot say that the value of those properties should be the same as far as the rent is concerned. So there are a lot of factors that go into determine the recoverable rent.
Absolutely. Let's be a bit more direct on this concern as to paying more than 6 months. Have you at the rent control had previous instances, or you're currently dealing with an issue of a tenant coming in and saying, look, my landlord is charging more than 6 months of rent advance? How have you dealt with it? Particularly also because there's a concern about victimization. If you report your landlord, you'll not get the property.
Okay. So, just as I mentioned, I cannot say categorically that nobody has reported charging from a landlord more than 6 months. But I mentioned that's where the evidence comes in. That when you report, you should provide us with evidence. Evidence that is the landlord who demanded it. Otherwise, it will be there, and then when there's an issue between landlord and tenant, because the tenant wants the landlord to be punished, then you just move into any rent control office or go before the magistrate and say the landlord demanded more than. What is the evidence? Because that's what, after investigation, we will produce before the magistrate for any sanction or imprisonment or any fine to be meted on the landlord. So those issues we've had are that the evidence are not there. We don't have evidence. I can say categorically, we don't have evidence. This shouldn't be a hearsay.
Let's start. You've had instances where people have come to report to you about rent advances being charged in excess of 6 months.
Yes.
How did you handle it?
Yes, so we request for evidence and they don't come back. You know, most of those cases also comes in at the time when the landlord is demanding recoverable rent. Recovery of possession.
So
when the landlord is demanding, yes.
For all the cases which have come before you, there's been no evidence where you've been able to proceed to bring about restitution, if I can call it that, and allowing the tenant pay the prescribed 6 months in advance. I
can say categorically that no evidence has been produced. Just as you mentioned, because of victimization, because the person thinks that, well, when I report, I will forfeit the building or the premises which is closer to my work or which is closer to my child's school or which is very convenient, very nice. So they keep quiet. Until there's a problem that, no, the landlord say, no, I will renew the place for you again. Then when they come before us, they tell us that when the landlord demanded. What shows that the landlord demanded?
The tenancy agreement is not enough?
Come again?
The tenancy agreement?
Yes.
It's not evidence enough?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that the tenancy agreement should state that the landlord has in there that this property of mine, this premises, I only charge 2 years. And I demanded 2 years rent advance, 1 year advance from the landlord. But if it's in there that the tenant has paid 2 years or paid 1 year, what evidence is that? Was it you, the tenant, who opted to pay, or is the landlord who demanded it? He said you paid. How did you pay? Were you induced to pay, or you willingly opted to pay? So that is not an evidence at that party on this tenancy agreement that we are discussing. If it's in there, because that's where you tenant must provide us with evidence. If it's the landlord who has induced you, who has demanded it, and it's stated in the tenancy agreement that you have paid, then you should make sure they change that clause to state that the landlord demanded it before you sign. And that can be evidential enough for us to use to prosecute any landlord.
And so for now, things will continue to be the way they are until these conversations for the new act comes in and we could see possible changes.
Yes, it's possible to change it. I mentioned earlier that in the review that we are doing, we are capping it and making it compulsory that you cannot opt to pay more than a threshold, or you cannot demand more than a threshold. So that can solve the problem. So that when we cap it, for instance, I mentioned, we